It's Aneesa Getaneh. They was doubting by my calling, now they peeping away.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Pretty and Profitable podcast. In today's episode, the principle that we're going to cover is productive. So I want to introduce you guys to Nicole. Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi.
Hey.
First, thank you for having me.
Thank
I'm
you for
super
coming.
excited for your podcast. This is something that everybody needs to talk about, being pretty and profitable, because we all slay.
Yes.
So thank you for having me. I'm Nicole Jones. I have been in project management for the past 10 plus years. So when we talk about productive, we're gonna hit on it.
Yes.
But I also, it's in other facets as well, just in terms of lifestyle. As you can see, I have my book here. I also wrote a book about being financial freedom, called Unlearn. So in terms of being productive, what that actually looks like, feels like holistically, not just from a business aspect, but from a financial aspect. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm a project manager with the PM Suite. I'm an author. I'm a wife. I'm a new mommy. So I am very productive these days.
That is awesome. And busy.
And profitable.
And profitable. Yes. So, what is project management for people that aren't familiar with it?
Project management looks like a number of things. I think what people closely identify project management with is just business operations. It's another term closely associated with project management, essentially meaning being able to carry through end to end on projects for a particular company, corporation, small business, large cap businesses. I'm that pretty much. I like this term a lot, especially because we're in the season. I'm the quarterback of the projects. I pretty much help people get where they need to go, make sure we get the target, make sure we get on time, on budget.
Yes.
All the things when it comes to project execution.
So you're thinking about a whole range of things, not even just one thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So what are the foundational skills necessary to be a successful project manager?
I would say the main thing is organization. Being organized, being able to compartmentalize things in your brain. I'm just that naturally that person, not just with work, but I'm also the friend that plans everything. It's like, hey, let's do a girls trip, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden everybody looks at me because they know I'm the organized person. So having organizational skills, I think, is extremely important.
Were you always organized?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So we think about just in terms of being productive. I'm also the oldest.
Oh, okay.
So I almost was like trained groomed
Yes.
to be organized and productive.
Right.
And take care of everybody else and wrangle the cats, as they like to say in the project management world. So it's pretty much naturally who I am in terms of like being organized and structured.
So why I ask that, because I talk about women's identity a lot, and I find that women really get tied to titles rather than knowing who they are. So they're attached to all these different things, and then you ask them who they are, and then they tell you about all these things, right? And so when I talk about identity, I give women the example of like the first step in really discovering who you are is going back to who you were as a child.
Oh,
right. So that's why I asked you that.
Yes.
And so the things that typically, things that you naturally did as a child, right?
Yep.
Because God, like he says that he created us, right?
Exactly.
And so when he created us, think about when the starting point was when we were children. And some people, they were groomed and their skill sets were encouraged. And some other people, their skill sets and who they naturally were kind of smashed.
Yep.
And so then you have those kids that are like, I don't know who I am, all that. But when you go back to your childhood, you can see things that you did naturally that you didn't have to be taught. And you, even when you look at kindergarten, you can tell who was who, right? You're like, okay, come here, little Tyrone. Come here, right? But you can tell, right? And so I do have women walk through what are some of the things maybe you got in trouble for, right? So for me, I got in trouble for talking a lot.
Yep. Here we are.
Thus.
Here we are. Prime example.
Right? Getting paid to speak.
Right. Exactly.
But because we were brought into a society where we were really taught to not offend people, to get along and to tolerate and to compromise, some of our skills and who we naturally were or are were kind of like pushed to the side. And so a lot of women then attach to careers and relationships and all these things that God said were additions to us, not who we are. And so when I talk about identity, this is a great thing because you said that when you were younger, you were already organized. And so now what you did is you built on who you naturally were.
Listen.
You're adding on
Yep.
these things, right?
Yep.
But you're using your skill set, your God-given skill set.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I love that. That just touches my soul. That just makes me feel really good because the conversations
walking
like
in your purpose.
Exactly.
Yes.
Conversations like this makes
Yeah.
me really
Yeah.
happy because
Yeah.
I talk about some of those things when
Yeah.
I'm speaking with other project managers, or
Mhm.
I'm talking about financial management, or
Yes.
just different aspects of life where it's important to identify who you are at your core,
Yes, at your core.
because that then is what's going to help you get to being profitable.
Exactly.
That is who you are, because we do get into that gray area where we're like, okay, what am I good at?
Yes.
What is my purpose
Mhm.
in this world? Which is like the age old question. What is my
Mhm.
purpose? So you just hit it right on the nail. So
Yeah. And I think as women too, we struggle a lot too because when we're younger, we're taught about competing, right? You're naturally looking at the girl next to you and what does she have, and there's a principle that talks about you can't create and compete at the same time. And so if you're in the competitive realm, you actually lose who you are.
Yeah.
You lose sight of who you are. But when you're creative and you're operating in just
Your gifts.
who you naturally are,
Yeah.
like it just flourishes. And so we have to move away from competing and looking at what that person is doing and how that, well, I like the way her hair curls. And it's just like, baby, what
Girl.
do you have?
Right.
Focus on what you have
Focus
and
on
make
you.
what you have beautiful.
There's a flip side to that.
Yes.
Yes, the creative part, work on your own creativity. What does that look like? How does that
Yes.
flourish in the world and the spaces that you're trying to create?
Mm-hmm.
But also competitiveness in terms of compete with yourself.
Exactly.
But there's a caveat there.
Okay, let's hear it.
Don't allow that to be analysis paralysis in terms of being able
Exactly.
to allow that to branch out in the
Yes.
world, to receive what you actually have to give to this world.
So compete,
yeah.
but keep moving.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's when you got a competition going.
Yes, yes. And I talk about another principle. We talked about it in the earlier episode about being peerless. And that was exactly what I was saying. The Proverbs 31 woman, it says that there are many virtuous and capable women, but she surpasses them all. And I was talking about how you can't be a woman that surpasses and trespass. You can't be trying to be like somebody else, getting on their property, doing what they do, and surpass. And the surpass is not like you're surpassing another woman.
Correct.
You're just surpassing the woman you were before.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's like
yes,
running track.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
you're really not competing with the girl next to you. You're really just
You're trying to beat
beating
your
your
own
time.
numbers. Yeah. 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 I love that.
And we have to see things like that. And as soon as we get a visual, and that's why I use a lot of like principles and analogies and visuals, because a lot of times we're doing things we need to, it's not just the words and being motivational. I need you to visually see yourself
Yep.
tracking your time
Yes. Yes.
in your race, in your space.
I love
Not,
that.
well, I want to be like that person. That person started 10 years ago. And she
You
had a
didn't see the
different
groundwork.
exposure.
Yeah.
She had a different background, came from a different place. It's not going to be the same. And you shouldn't want it to be the same.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. You don't want to be a cheap imitation of someone else's original.
Yes.
Because when someone does something, I can't say who it is. I won't say who it is.
Uh-oh.
But there is a woman that is amazing in her space. Like, she does it so well that if anybody says anything similar to what she's saying, it looks like they're copying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to be so excellent that if somebody even says anything close to what you're, like with Oprah, you can't say, oh, without thinking Oprah. Like, girl, you can't use oh,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
you want to be so excellent, right? That when they hear one word, they think about you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to look at someone and then try to imitate.
Copy paste.
You can't copy paste because
Cannot.
then when they meet you in person, you can't deliver.
You can't speak eloquently. You don't have your own words.
don't have it
sound like
because
a recording of someone
You
else.
sound like
Yeah.
Chat GPT. You can't
Yeah,
chat
but yes, that's true.
GPT somebody's
Yeah.
spirit.
Yeah.
You can't chat GPT someone's, you can't really do their brand either. But there's another thing that my mentor says. He says that your reputation should surpass you when they meet you in person. Basically, meaning you should be more in person than what they are, what they already thought of you. Like you should be great.
Yeah.
But when people meet you, you should blow their mind. And
Yeah.
so the only way to do that is to continue becoming.
Yes.
It's not to stop at,
Yes.
well, I really said, I see a lot on Instagram. People just keep repeating what somebody else says. It's just a lot of repeating. But when you really sit down and you sit with the lessons that God has taught you, first of all, you can't forget them.
No, they come naturally.
They come naturally.
Yeah.
And they're so profound because there's passion behind what you're saying.
Yeah. It's interesting, this current season that I'm in, I feel like I'm in that harvest season. Another word for what you're already articulated. I feel like I'm in that harvest season. I'm like, man, when I actually have the time to sit back and reflect on everything that's happening, I'm like, man, I'm really in my own lane. Not in my own lane like I'm doing this all alone, but like I'm actually living out.
This is me.
The purpose. Correct.
Yes.
And to your point, when you get into those spaces and those rooms where you have to articulate what it is that you actually do, and people have already followed you, they've fanned out with you before or following you, you do deliver a lot more than they actually expect. And and you as the person given the information, don't necessarily see it that way because you're just operating in your flow. And you're allowing other people to just receive whatever that energy, those concepts, and that information is.
Yes.
So it's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And it's not rehearsed when you are sharing that information, your gifts. It's not rehearsed. It doesn't feel like some TED talk or speech or anything. It just flows eloquently in terms of like what you're trying to share with your audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we think about like our brands should really be like Jesus in this sense. People, like he started with 12 people.
Yep.
He found the people that were going to benefit him. He found a tax collector. He found these fishermen, and he went to the fishermen. He was not a fisherman, but he says, I'm going to make you fishers of men. He told the fishermen, like, you know how to make fish, you know how to catch fish, but I'm going to teach you how to be fishers of men. He took 12 people.
Yeah.
Right? And then Jesus was just naturally being himself, a little bit of a rebel, saying things that people didn't like, doing things on the Sabbath, stuff that just they didn't think was cool. And then people started to follow him everywhere he went, right? So when they met him, they already knew what he did.
His reputation precedes him.
They already knew what he did. But let me tell you what happened. I talked about in another episode that the woman with the issue of blood, right? There were all these people around him. And Jesus always said that he could only perform miracles in places where people believed. He said, I couldn't go there because they didn't believe, right? And so he went, he's around all these people, but the only one that was healed was the woman that said to herself, if I can touch, right? And so our brands, our business should be very similar to that. We start off with a team, right?
Yeah.
To be a small team. But at some point, it should surpass like what we're doing and the impact that we're creating. It should spread.
Yeah.
Kind of like wildfire.
Yeah.
Right? And people should come already knowing what you do. And then what you should do is take the 2 fish and the 5 loaves and you make more of what.
And multiply. Yep.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
He laid it out for us.
Yep.
The truth is right there. The blueprint. We're like,
right.
I don't
literally
know what
the
I'm
blueprint.
doing. I don't know. It's all right there. He literally came and just walked it out and said, just follow what I did. But we make it religion. Just do what he did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We just went all off topic.
No, it's good. That's good. That's good. I think it kind of ties everything up with a little bow, basically. Yeah. We're talking about being able to pull out your natural gifts. Everything that
Hey, girl.
We're talking about being able to pull out your natural gifts.
Yes.
And being able to identify that as your essentially the adult version of yourself.
And
like those are the goals.
of it.
And take ownership of it. And also being able to rally behind those that are around you in your circle.
Yes.
In real life, what does that look like? That
Yes.
means, do you need a coach?
Right.
Do you need a community?
You always
do you need your
one.
12 disciples?
Yes.
Like, what does that look like?
Yes.
And being able to leverage that and be able to lean on one another in
Yes.
ways that allow you to catapult in your career, your personal life, your love life, whatever that looks like for you to be successful. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it.
We have a studio audience, you guys, if you hear. Today, pretty on paper,
Yes.
live.
Right.
So how can women transfer these skills to their personal lives? The skills that we talked about in project management.
I feel like we hit on
talked
everything.
about it,
Oh
right?
Lord, we done got ahead of ourselves. Pulling those project management skills. Okay, let's say you're not an organized person.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yes.
That's perfectly okay if you're not a naturally organized person.
Okay.
But you can start to walk things back. Like I said, you get overwhelmed and we have analysis paralysis. Walk some things back, because for those that are not naturally organized, they can't always check off everything on their list like they would love to. Just pick 2 or 3 things that you can achieve for that day, for that week, for that month, whatever feels right to you. Because I think what we get into, a lot of people get into this rut of, I feel like I need to be more organized. I want to actually achieve my goals, and these are the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I'm going to put all this big list together and try to achieve everything all at once. That's already setting yourself up for failure.
Creating immediate anxiety.
Instant anxiety. And the analysis paralysis kicks in, because it's like, oh, should I be doing this?
Right.
What if I should be doing this?
Right.
Should I call this person? Do I need a coach for this?
Yes.
Do I need to pay for this particular course online? Do I need to watch? Then you get on YouTube and you do YouTube University and watch 550 million
now you're really
videos. Now you're really confused.
Yeah.
And you lose the course of what your actual goals and objectives are for you to be productive.
Yeah.
So take it back,
Yeah.
walk it back, scale it back, and just look at this holistically in terms of, okay, I know me.
Yes.
I know organization and productivity is not naturally my gifts, my ministry. Let me be realistic about the situation and just do like 2 or 3 things this week.
Yes.
If I can knock those things off and I can actually physically check the box on those, I've achieved something this week.
Now, should they celebrate after they?
Yes, celebrate.
Hold on one second. Let me get coffee or something.
Yeah. You're good.
I think Cole gave me something. I left it. Oh, no, I was saying, oh no. You done put something in my coffee, y'all.
Coriel, you good? Oh, I'm good. Okay. I see you. You being good, baby girl? You being good.
So stuff that we should celebrate.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll start it off.
Okay.
Unless you want to ask the question again.
So should we celebrate after we've accomplished those?
Definitely.
Yes.
And if you ask my husband, I celebrate everything.
Okay. Okay.
I celebrate every small, big
Nice.
win that there is, just because, I mean, why not?
Yes.
Why not? And so being able to celebrate those moments just kind of helps solidify that, I actually achieved. I accomplished what I said I was going to do. Because that can be a tough thing for someone.
Yes.
To actually do what you say you were going to do. That's already a hurdle for some.
I feel like, too, people, I think that when you promise yourself something and then you don't accomplish it, you start to not believe in yourself. Like, you know that you lied to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think people get into that too. Like, okay, I said I was going to do that. Like, I told myself, not nobody else, I'm going to do this. And I didn't do it. So how do you think someone gets out of that when you actually realize that I've made these goals, I didn't do it? Like, how do you get out of realizing that I just lied to myself? It's like,
I would say just assess like if you have created that big list of like 30
Mm-hmm.
different tasks that you said you
Yes.
were going to achieve, that's not,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, that's not realistic,
Yes. Yes.
especially if you're not naturally that type of
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
Again, scale back that list,
Yes.
outline it to something that's a little bit more manageable, more realistic for
Okay.
not just what you want to achieve for that day, for that week, but what you can achieve in relation to everything that's happening in your life. Because you
Mm-hmm.
might have a family,
Mm-hmm.
you might be in school,
Yeah.
you might be starting a new job. What can you realistically achieve
Yeah.
with in keeping in mind everything else that you have going on in your lifestyle,
Yes.
and then go about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like you said, I think when you do have find yourself in the position that you just shared, where it's like, man, I just lied to myself. I knew I
Mm-hmm.
was going to be able to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
What that then goes into is this spiral
Yes.
where you are now looking at other people who are doing the things that you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I had that idea,
Well,
I had that concept,
yes.
but you didn't
You
execute
didn't
on it.
execute. Yeah.
You didn't execute on it.
Yeah.
And you have to be more focused on what you actually can achieve and manage during that time frame.
Yeah.
And then what that also leads to, if you're in that same scenario that you just
Mhm,
mentioned,
mhm.
is you don't invest in yourself.
Yes.
You lose out on opportunities where you
Mhm.
could have been a great coaching program,
Yes.
a great group
Mhm.
program, a great pretty and profitable podcast you could have listened to,
Right.
but you miss out on it because it's like, well, that's too much money. No, it's not too much money. You
Yes.
just know you wouldn't be able to achieve what you needed because you didn't focus on the goals at hand in the first place.
Yes.
So just being able to think of everything holistically, understand what can I manage?
Yes.
How can I take this on easy bite-sized doses
Mhm,
where I feel like
mhm.
I'm accomplished?
Yeah.
And I think over time that'll continue to grow and manifest into something larger.
It
Where you're-
compounds, right?
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
And compound interest where you got now monetary opportunities
Yes.
coming in. So
Yes.
even better.
Yes. So I talk about the profitable Proverbs 31 woman and how she's productive. I think though, as women, we have innately in us to do all these things that the Proverbs 31 woman does.
Yeah.
However, we treat it more like a to-do list rather than seeing it as a bigger, purpose. And so how do we go from being busy, or how do you be a busy woman but not a busy body? Like, how do you do that? What would you suggest to women that are listening and saying, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm going to get busy, I'm going to get organized, I'm going to get productive? How do we go from making sure that what we are actually doing does produce something?
Got you. So that's where a lot of people have vision boards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have at the top of the year. If you don't have a vision board, you have like a goals for the year.
Yes.
This is my word for the year. This is my theme for the year.
Yeah.
That essentially is what I do as well.
Okay.
I call projections because I'm a project manager, so I'm using all these
Which
PM
is another
terms.
principle, by the way. It's another Proverbs 31 principle. But go ahead.
Projections?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm in line, girl. I'm in line. I'm
This
in
is
alignment.
the Proverbs 31 woman.
Yes, yes. So I do projections,
Yes.
basically outline, okay, for the year 2023, and I
Yes.
have projections for the next 3 years, 5 years.
Which you should.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay. Things that I want to achieve and I want to
Yes.
accomplish and how I will actually get there.
Yes.
I do that because I want to stay focused on things that matter.
Yes.
And that's going to go back to the bottom line of Nicole, whether
Yes.
that's money, time with family, time with friends, time with business partners, whatever that looks
Yes.
like. That way I don't lose track and get deviated on things that don't make sense and are not in
Yes.
alignment with my ultimate goal and my ultimate purpose.
So that's how we stay from being a busybody and
Correct.
to being busy and productive.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And for those things that come up out of nowhere,
Yes.
maybe it is a good thing to
Yes.
show up on that podcast or show up at that particular conference because it's going to provide you a return later.
Yes.
But then there are certain things where it's like, this doesn't feel
Right.
like the writing. And you'll feel it, you'll understand it, you'll
Exactly.
get almost an instant feeling that this may not be in alignment with what I want to do. Sounds great. However, let me pitch this to someone else who I think this is more in alignment with.
Yes.
If that doesn't fit your
So
brand.
being true to yourself,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
ignoring yourself, but being true to yourself.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
that's good. So what are some tips or tools that you can share with women who want to increase the productivity? I think we talked about that. Kinda.
Yeah, I think we
Did.
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Comment below if you got any more questions, y'all.
Link below.
Right.
So, how have you been able to leverage your project management skills as a new mom?
Girl, that has been the greatest project I have ever been a part of.
Exactly.
It's a project. So I call her, and my little girl, that's our first little one. Her name is Galaxy.
Oh,
She's amazing. She's just
I love
over the
that
moon.
name.
We love her.
Yes.
We call her our little project manager
Yes.
because she came here well before time.
Yeah.
She came before schedule.
Right. Early.
Schedule.
Right. Right.
And then when her bottle when she knows when her bottle is ready, she'll like cry like 5-10 minutes before, like give it like a warning
I'm
shot.
just letting you know.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah. So she's our little project manager. But it's been amazing. It's never the same each day.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we have on schedule is like when her bottles are given to her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's literally, as my project management brain, that's the only thing I can put on schedule. Everything else is like, I'm gonna roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
And so what has happened is, since I'm a new mommy, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
Thankfully, both my husband and I work from home with our businesses. My mother-in-law is with us as well, so that provides additional assistance.
Village.
Girl, a village.
Yes.
And it's a whole new level. I understand that on a whole new level now.
Mm-hmm.
But because there's so much unknowns in that process, I leave room for unknowns in my work.
Yes.
So I work in different spurts. I might work for 3-4 hours, take a break because I know I need to like be in complete mommy mode.
Yeah.
Like today, she is with me. Didn't have assistance. Mom-in-law had to do her own thing today.
Listen,
Daddy's
make
at
it
work.
work.
Got to make it work.
Yes.
So she's a part of our audience
Yes.
today.
Studio audience, girl.
Studio audience. So essentially, being able to maneuver in ways that make sense for my lifestyle as entrepreneur and a new mom. It's just being able to make that work. So
I talk about that too. Like, I don't believe that a mom is my identity. I think it is something that, of course, you become, and it's something that's added to you.
Yeah.
However, I don't believe that every woman should be a mom, but I do believe that becoming a mom is like our first intro into ownership and managing, because we've made the baby.
Yes.
Right now we have to manage it. And then the next level of their parenting, we're figuring out how to multiply the things that are within them. And so, I have an 18-year-old. I'm right now focusing on multiplying his money and putting him in the best position so that my grandchildren will not have to have a scarcity story.
Yeah.
Because I don't,
Yes.
we don't want the struggle story.
We don't.
Struggle is good in life because we need to have some sort of, tug of war and all that.
Yeah.
But the story, our Black story of struggle and poverty, I just don't think that we should put it into it if we can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that being a mom, it gives us an opportunity. And like I said, this is not like saying that the only way to do it.
Correct.
Because again, if you're a woman and you don't have kids, you are absolutely valuable.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But I think that being a mom gives you a first hand in ownership.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all those principles that it takes to be able to manage a business and a home. And it really forces you, because you didn't really need those skills before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was good if you had it.
It was good. It was nice to have.
Yeah.
But
it's
now
a
they're in
different
overdrive.
level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in overdrive now. And that's so funny you mentioned that. The scarcity piece and being able to teach your kids the same concepts and principles to be successful, not just in life, but financially.
Yes.
Literally had this conversation last night with my mother-in-law
Nice.
and my in-laws in general about not having that scarcity mindset as we continue the generation. I think they're not the entire generation, but there are generations where the conversation about money is taboo. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to ask for help. We almost, in a sense, feel like the struggle and scarcity mindset is a part of who we are, and that we should always carry that with us. When it's like, it doesn't have to be like that, right?
Exactly.
My husband and I, we actually became debt free. I talk about all this in the book, Unlearn, but we actually both became debt free.
Nice.
Paid off all of our student loans, and being able to get close to our first $1 million goal threshold, and plus,
so
that's our goal.
Debt free and cash flow.
Listen, trying to be able to not only teach ourselves those principles on what's important, and learn from our elders, past generations, on ways that we can be better, but then pass that down to our little one.
Yes.
And why that's important. And so we were having a conversation about money and bills and all that stuff. And it's just one of those things where it's always a challenge, because if you've grown up in a certain way and thought process, you really have to break down and literally unlearn, which is why I called the book Unlearn a lot of those
You do.
tactics, those that not even tactics, it's just like a lifestyle. We were born into living a certain way when it comes to money, or learning and having a relationship with money in a certain type of way, that it's hard to like move away from that, and it feels uncomfortable, it feels distant, and it feels foreign.
Yes.
So being able to break that down, unlearn that, to then build yourself back up again in a way that makes sense. Sense.
Exactly.
It can be a real challenge, especially in our community.
Absolutely.
Especially in our community.
Yeah. I mean, because we've been handed down, you know, very skillfully ways to stay in the low income space. Skillfully.
I heard you. I heard that word.
Right?
I was like, yep, that's the word.
And to also believe that when we hear minority or poverty, we automatically associate and we think that they're talking about Black people.
Yep. Instantly.
Like, I'm not a minority.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't put anything minor next to me, right? I don't care what the statistics say. Yeah. Listen, if we calculate the whole globe, we are definitely not a minority. But I think that it has been strategically put in place for the majority. So they're okay with a few Blacks making it because they need a little bit of sprinkle, little seasoning here and there.
A little season, a little pepper.
But if we can, you know, even for like right now, just off topic, kind of like the new way to destroy our community is through entertainment, to keep them entertained. There's a scripture in, I think it's in Leviticus 16. Moses goes to Pharaoh and he says, let my people go. And so, you know, he's like, I'm not letting the people go. So then what Pharaoh does is he takes the straws that they had. They were using straws to build these bricks. He takes their straws and he raises their quota, like that he increases their workload. And he says, basically, keep them busy so that they don't entertain lies. And I feel like that's what happens to our people. Like, they took the straws and the straws were used to build the tools.
Yeah.
And they were devastated. They're like, they took our straws. But I was thinking, why didn't the Israelites figure out how to make more straws?
I got you. Yeah.
And when the straws were taken, the quota was raised. It's kind of like this economy right now. But, you know, and he says, basically, like, weigh them down with work so that they don't entertain the lies. So, you know, if you weigh people down with work, what is the next thing that they want to do? They want relief. They feel like they deserve relief. And I think we are so focused on entertaining ourselves and we feel like we deserve this type of life, but we don't pay attention that your straws have been taken. The reason why you're working harder and you're tired is because you didn't figure out how to make that straw.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great analogy.
You know, and so, you know, I think that our community is being torn down right in front of us through music, you know, through women that I would never say that we are like, you know, exploiting ourselves sexually and things like that. I don't see a Jewish music video out with, you know, women twerking, and I don't see a lot of cultures. There's some cultures that are trying to take on the quote unquote Black culture, which I wouldn't say is Black culture. It's a subculture because that's not me.
She said that's not me.
No. But I feel like that is the way, you know, in the 80s it was drugs and imprisonment. Now it's entertainment. You know, it's entertainment. And so if we don't pay attention, that they are taking our straws from us. They're weighing you down with more work.
Yeah.
You know, but we should really be focusing on sharpening our tools, you know, working together.
Yeah.
And things like that. But I don't know why that just came, but
no,
listen.
That's good. That's good. I think it's important why conversations like this is important.
Yes.
It's like, I wish there was an easy button to like fix all this where we empowered people, resilient people are able to get what is already rightfully ours, and that we can see that, we can identify that in ourselves naturally without having it being told to us or handed to us on somebody else's platter when it was already ours to begin with. So I think conversations like this, you know, different forums that are already out there, events, conferences that are already out there, it's just like how it's like an endless battle.
You know, I don't feel like it's an endless battle. It's something that Miles Monroe said. He said that where you find tolerance, you will find many, you know, like unruly things. So we are taught in our society to tolerate when that's really not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be standing on things like, no, we're not going to let our children watch this. No, we're not going to, you know, but we say, oh, well, that's them. And oh, that's those people. But ultimately, because everything is connected, it ends up affecting everything. Everything. You know? So, anyways.
No, that's good.
So, what are some ways you can, what are some ways you manage your schedule on a daily basis?
Let's see. I already have calendar. Google Calendar is my friend.
Okay.
Like, if it's not on my calendar,
that
then
makes
it's
me
not.
nervous. Oh God. The
why?
ringing and the ding ding.
Oh, it's on mute, girl.
Oh, okay.
It'll vibrate.
Okay.
Because I also need that too, my sanity. Because I'm like, if something is like
So
dinging every other, I don't have Instagram notifications. I don't have Facebook on for a reason.
Yes.
But my calendar, I got notifications and it vibrates. So it's not like chiming every 2 seconds.
Yes.
I still need some type of sanity in between all.
So manage your notifications.
Yes. So that's a twofold. That's a twofold. Manage your notifications and management in terms of putting it on your calendar in terms of lifestyle and work. So I'm going to stick with those two in terms of like just being able to manage in a way that makes sense for you and you don't feel overwhelmed. Because I think that's where a lot of people go as well. It's like, oh, there's just too much. I can't. And then they just remove it and don't do anything. Do it in a way that makes sense for you where you don't feel overwhelmed. It doesn't feel like a big to-do. And then you don't end up doing it.
Right. What we talked about.
Yes.
Right. So with being productive, how important it is to you, how important is it for you and your social life? So you're productive and you're focused on business, family, but how do you incorporate and really add that social piece?
I make time for fun.
Okay.
I don't play about my hangout time with girlfriends, spa dates, self-care by myself, go get a pedicure by myself. Yes. I do not play about this. So work hard, play hard is a real thing, especially being an entrepreneur and a new mom right now. I'm like, listen, I'm tapping out.
Don't you?
Because I don't want burnout.
We have to tap out.
I don't play about my time.
Yes.
I do not play.
Yes.
So that's super important for me. And I make it just as a priority as I do my clients.
Yes.
It's just as essential and important because if I have to pour into them, my gifts, my excellence, I also have to be full as well in order to pour from. Yes. So being able to have that downtime, moments where I don't even pick up my phone.
Yes.
One of the practices I do, I don't take my phone in the bed with me or anything. If I do, it's like all the way on the other side of the room, so I'm not forced to like look at my phone every 2 seconds. Because you just need to like decompress. Remove everything and just release and relax. So.
Thank you. That was so amazing. You're gonna have to come back because we have so much to talk about.
Yeah, that was
but
awesome.
I really think that you embody this principle of being productive. The Proverbs 31 woman is so many things. You talked about projecting and being productive, but I really thank you for coming.
Thank you. This was
Can
awesome.
you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes. So I am Nicole Jones, like I mentioned. For the productive side, for my business, the PM Suite, you can find that at thepmsuite.com, on Instagram, the PM Suite _. And if you just want to follow me, I'm Mrs. Nicole Jones on Instagram. You'll see it on the PM Suite as well. So.
And to just wrap up what we talked about today, being productive is about knowing who you are, learning who you are, managing yourself, and using the right tools, and learning when to tap out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you next week.
It's Aneesa Getaneh. They was doubting by my calling, now they peeping away.